there's a difference between emoting through our feelings, and actually expressing our emotions. The difference between these two, emoting versus an expression, are two of the key concepts of understanding conflict being a necessary tool. A lot of times, I remember for myself, where I would avoid conflict by deflecting. I would avoid conflict by deflecting. I would avoid conflict usually by deflection. Not understanding that conflict is a natural, fundamental tool in the growing process. The friction is a natural tool in the growing process. If one is afraid of conflict, it can show you that you're afraid of yourself. You're afraid to express emotion, and it comes out in that sound. It comes out in that sound of a lot of things when we come into emoting our emotions or being afraid of conflict. It comes out as I'm fine. It comes out as I'm okay. Even when it does come out just a little bit, it'll come out as I'm just going through some things. But never do we take the depth aspect of learning how to express our emotions. Expressing from a healthier set of being. Divine Rise, Grand Rising, blessed be to the day, may be everything that you require to tap you into what you desire. Today is that moon day. This is the aspect of expressing, coming into our change. How we invest in our change promotes how we grow. You know, every day we getting deep into this human design. Card of the day is conflict. Gate 6, conflict. The fundamental design component of progress. The fundamental design component of progress. The law that growth cannot exist without friction. The energy for producing life itself. Friction. To understand friction and to come into the healthy balances of our emotion when it comes to friction, it's understanding that it's understanding our feeling, it's becoming aware of how we are emoting our emotions and our sensitivity in that space with our energy, where our sensitivity lies at. You do not know how sensitive or how vulnerable you are. A lot of us fight our vulnerability through not allowing ourselves to understand our sensitivity. Our sensitivity outside of the emotional feeling that a lot of us will get stuck in. We'll think vulnerability is a weakness, sensitivity is a weakness. We've been trained in that thought process. We've been put in that process. But vulnerability is the ultimate aspect to becoming intimate with your power. Vulnerability is the ultimate aspect to becoming intimate with your power. Your sensitivity to that space is what stops you from going into that conflict. Conflict is a natural, fundamental process to your growth. It shows you your progress. If you're going into a space, take it like this, Mercury retrogrades are coming through. You're going into spaces now for yourself where it doesn't match the frequency where you're at. So how do you know it's not matching the frequency where you're at? It's going to be the conflict. A lot of the times in our unhealed state, we try to be the peacemaker. We try to be the arbitrator in all of these events and all of these cycles, not understanding that everybody, as I've said before on Friday during the lecture, everybody has an assignment. Everybody has an assignment. Everybody has a contract. You have a contract. Everybody has a contract. Everybody has their assignment when they're inside of their space. A lot of times we would try to become the arbitrator or the peacemaker to all conflicts that are outside of us. And then when it comes to a point in time when your energy, you're now going to that next level, you're going into your healing process. What you're seeing now, as you're healing, as you're going through your healing process, you're going to start seeing things for yourself. You're seeing things for yourself. That means without the filter. You're going to start seeing things for yourself. You're going to start seeing things because you're not within that space. That space, remember, every time you are advancing out of an environment that you became so used to, you were used to getting your energy from there, you're used to being in that space, being the peacemaker, being the voice of reason, being within that space. As you step out of that space, that environment reformulates itself based on the thought processes, those thought forms that are within that space. So you can go from being the number one friend that everybody's going to when you go into your hermit stage, and now you're looking at that environment, and now the environment's different. The vibration's different of the environment. It's not different. It's the same exact environment. You no longer match that frequency. Where the things that you used to be in there, and this is a lot of times it happens for us, because now we feel that guilt to ourselves of maybe if I stayed a little, maybe if I did go over there, maybe if I didn't miss this event, maybe if I did answer that phone call, maybe if I did that, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing now. Truth is, everybody is going to do exactly what they're going to do when they do it. They're going to do what they're going to do regardless. What you're starting to realize is you're the one maintaining being in this state of conflict resolution, stopping the friction, the natural friction that was needed for that space to come to an end. When we're coming into our aspects of emoting our emotion, think about when you watch TV. If you watch TV, neither here nor there, but if you watch TV, you'll always see the actors. You'll always see an actor. You'll see, that actor is mad because you see anger on their face. You see what they're doing, the music changes, the background changes, they got flames behind it, whatever it may be. That's emoting the emotion. That's emoting it. That's making you, this is the process of projecting our emotions, projecting our emotional imbalance onto others so we can see it. We do it a lot of times when we're in that space, when we're doing a lot of that projection. When you're going into a space, you have created your space, you have created your environment. A lot of times, this is when we go into the aspects of the friends and the family aspect of your shadow work. When you're addressing your family, that aspect outside of that becomes the friends. The friends are the emoting of your emotion or the runoff. Your friends are the emoting of your emotion or the runoff. Your environments that you go in, they're the emoting or the projection of your emotions into that space. And in order for you to stay in your space where you're at, because you have your positive and negative, they have their positive and negative, to avoid conflict, you seem to be the peacemaker to all of their problems. This is when you start to reach out to try to fix everybody, try to make everybody else good. But then you're emotionally investing your imbalanced emotions into an imbalanced space. What do you think you're going to get in return? One of the things that I said to myself was, just going into that healing process for myself was, there was a lot of times where I would think I was expressing my emotions by saying, but it came out always as, I'm okay, I'm all right, I'll be fine. Putting yourself into that space. I'm fine, I'm all right, I'm going to get through it, I'm just going through some things. And then I'm keeping that thought in my mind. I'm keeping that thought. That thought is hitting remember, when it hits your memory, it hits your subconscious, it hits every memory of you saying that you were all right. Or every memory corresponding to you saying, who was the first person that did not show how to express emotion in your life. It always goes back to, this is the aspect of that shadow work. Because your emotional growth was stunted at a point in time. And it's okay. This is one of the most important parts to admit. Remember, every time I'm telling you about shadow work and I'm telling you about the acknowledgement phase, the first half of that acknowledgement phase is admitting that you benefited from the trauma. Admitting that you benefited from said trauma. No matter what it is, you must admit that you benefited from it. Here's the benefit in the conflict factor that's going to start causing that. This is what's causing the friction in your life, that you're not facing the friction point. If you did not go through the trauma that you went through, and you did not come through the trauma that you've been through, you wouldn't be here right now. So that's the benefit. Remember, we got to get out of the it's good or it's bad and get into the negative and positive, meaning that it served me or it didn't serve me. That's the first part of that acknowledgement process. This is one of the biggest things when it comes into that conflict, understanding that conflict is a natural aspect. The conflict is natural. The conflict's a natural part of that process because the conflict's going to teach you your emotional clarity. It's going to teach you how to express through emotional clarity. It's going to teach you about your emotional maturity. It's going to have you stop emoting or projecting your emotions into everything else into the space. It's going to force you to come into this space with yourself and actually sit there and be like, you know what? I have to admit that I was wrong. Because the reason that I was wrong was because I benefited from this trauma. Then you come into this acceptance. Now you're into the acceptance. I accept that I benefited from the trauma in this continuum of my existence. In order for me to start living, I must bring myself into a space, and I have to become the arbitrator of all these. I have to become the arbitrator in myself and sit there in that space and be like, you know what? For me to go forward, I can no longer benefit from this trauma. This becomes one of the major parts where it comes in conflict in your shadow work, when you're dealing with the family member aspect, when you're dealing with the friends aspect, and you're coming into that space because now we'll think through our ego until we come into that acknowledgement and acceptance process, we'll always think through our ego. So the first thing that we'll say whenever we're going through a healing process, whether it's your mother, your father figure, mother figure, aunt, uncle, brother, whoever it may be, friend, whoever it may be, the first thing that you're going to think based on ego to protect yourself is, I don't understand why I have to take care of their mistakes. I don't understand why I have to admit it, so I have to take care of their mistakes. This is how it corresponds in your current life. Every relationship, until you acknowledge that it's not about fixing their mistakes, every corresponding relationship will be you fixing others' mistakes. Every relationship that you're going to get in, friendship, bond that you have, is going to be based upon fixing their mistakes. Not seeing them go through the things that you went through. Trying to take on their karmic debt. Putting yourself, now you're trying to be the karmic, now you're trying to be this conflict resolution or the peacemaker in every aspect. But in reality, if you didn't show up, would that shit have still went down? That becomes an honest point. I remember getting in between a lot of fights and a lot of arguments and a lot of things that were going down. And then I would say my piece. It would sound great. I'd be like, damn, I'm starting to listen to myself. It sounds great. But then when I would remove myself from the situation or remove myself from the space, it happened again. And then I found myself feeling guilty because I would go through the guilt. I would go through the barter system. Man, I can't keep trying to help everybody and make everybody feel good. Then I started realizing to myself, I was trying to make everybody feel good. I was trying to keep everybody in balance. I was trying to keep everybody happy. When in the reality of it, I can't make everybody feel happy. I can't make everybody feel good. They got to go through that cycle. They need the friction because the friction is a natural part of the process. They have to understand that pattern that they always fall into. That's when it's the best time for you to actually invest. If you're not investing in the change, you're only going to be investing in remaining the same. You're not doing all of this work for yourself to stay the same. You're not coming into this space just to keep staying the same. I didn't come into this space. I put up a picture, I think it was like the other day. I didn't come into this space to look like that anymore. The amount of pain and the amount of pain that you hold into yourself, after a while, it starts to show up on your face. It shows up on your body. You're showing the reflections of emotional paralysis. Because it starts within the aspect of the mind being all, so that emotional paralysis, or you being frozen in the aspects of anger, frozen in the aspects of being that emotional aspect, then you emote it, that flows into your physical body. So now your back hurt, you always sick, you always seem to be stopped up, you always seem to be trying to run everywhere. That's the physical aspect. And then in the physical manifestation in your environment is everything that fits that. The physical manifestation in your environment is everything that fits that to keep you in that space. That's obstruction. The obstruction of your discernment. That the states of paralysis. I want you to be great. Speaking of the aspects of obstruction, that's this week's episode on the God Hour podcast. We're getting into obstruction. We're getting into the states of paralysis, being emotional paralysis, the physical internal paralysis, and the physical external manifestation of paralysis. That means the emotions that you've been holding on to and anchoring on to, we've been getting into through the last couple of weeks, that have left you in that sense of captivity to your own emotions, the captivity to your own feelings, that you can't grow. And now you're feeling even sicker and your body ain't growing. Your edges is falling off. Your edges is falling out. Your hair ain't growing right. Your shit uneven when you do grow it out. That leads into the physical environment of you trying to connect to things to keep you actually in that space. It's actually a vicious cycle that you keep yourself in. That's why to feel happy, you'll try to connect to something to make you happy. But then you come into that space, you're not used to being challenged. You haven't challenged yourself. Therefore, you can't accept the challenge coming straight into your face. You try to keep everything. In reality, when you're afraid of conflict, you try to keep everything down here so you look like you're up here. But in reality, y'all all in the same space. This is the growing process. I want you to be great. I desire you to be great. I desire you every day to invest into the change and allow yourself to elevate. I want you to go through that. It's no more of this, ooh, I'm going to go grab this. No, internal work. Everything leads back to shadow work. That dream relationship that you're dreaming of, it's in the shadow work. That dream job that you're dreaming of, that dream job is going to give you everything that you've ever wanted, it's in the shadow work. That vehicle, that vehicle that's going to put you into those houses and everything that you're wanting, it's all in the aspects of the shadow work. That internal work. You got to do this internal work. And then once you start doing true internal work, it starts reflecting in your environment. You start seeing the changes. You become more aware of the changes that are happening in your environment. You're going to look at that. You're going to go over there and be like, damn, they doing the same thing they did last year around this same time. What's the difference? You're not there anymore. Damn, they keep going through the same. They just keep switching through all my homegirls I used to, where they keep running through the same men every week. What's the difference? You're not there to stop them. You're not there to stop them from learning. Your homeboys keep doing the same shit with the same chicks over and over and over and over again. You're not there to stop them, so now they have to learn it. That's the shift. That's the conflict. That's that natural process is progress. Everything doing what it's supposed to do. You bring yourself to the middle self so you can find your balance. I want you to be the best. If you're interested in services from readings, get that shadow work consultation, that shadow reading with the consultation, where we break down what you need to accept, what you need to forgive, what you need to release, Coming into the aspects of what you're about to start, what you need to embrace in the aspects of learning, where you're going to find that healing and recovery at in this process, and coming into where you're going to find that help, that shadow work consultation. Tap in, hit me in the inbox, or hit GodaCallAlchemistLLC.com. Everything from the readings, spiritual products from the baths. Stay tuned for the teas that are coming out pretty soon. I want you to be the best. I want you to grow into the best. Tune into the God Hour podcast. New episode, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every Tuesday, because today is the only day that matters. On this Monday is the only day. There's only one day that matters. Whether it's your Monday or your moon day, how am I investing into my change to get throughout my day? On your Tuesday, how am I investing into what those investments that I invested into my change? How am I going to make the impact for myself today? Whether it's your Wednesday or how you're going to whisk and win through that day and champion yourself through the day. Whether it's Thursday, there's only one day that matters, because everything else is a reflection of how you start. This is your beginning. What you just went through is your ending. You made it. You here. I want you to be the fucking best. I love you. You love us. Ashe.